Dumelang kaofela sanibonani nonke. Nna ka lebitso ke nna Pule kaJanolintji mpokothe bovu kamagayisa wakhe sonke isihlahla. Mina ke lona ngiyanibingelela nonke. I greet you all with this invocation, and the invocation is Amagu. And if we understand the etymology of this, we believe that it means the givers of water, that prime agent under whose auspices we are all gathered here today among the canals and cups of tea. So ngiyaqamaphusha ngifuna ukubonga ukuphipha kakhulu ukuthi ungilethela ngakhuluma nani sithethe sixoxisane siphethe sonke Gamagu. And I also like to Kamakusha and invoke people that may be living, and some of them who are not living anymore, and some of them perhaps they were never living, by whose channels we have all been able to flow and pool in this space here, fantastic space where we are swimming in different characters and symbols, and we are writing with our own hands uniquely, as would please Tim Brooks, who I'm very happy to meet in the flesh, you know. And we're talking about something that's in the flesh, right? And I think Seshat has really laid out this interoception principle as something originating in the flesh. And today, what I would like to do is give a case for the fact that an indigenous Southern African tradition of an antecedent intellectual culture of the cultural worldview can be conceived of in terms of interoception and indeed intero-reading. So to give a background on Kham, we're looking at an extreme south of what's known as the African continent. So in this area here, I usually put the south on top because we are from the south. We don't want to put ourselves down. Let's put ourselves on top, you know? And so also it's an area where it is very well known to have the most complex diversity of biomes, the ecological diversity in the world. And I'm going to be talking about this particular place here as a sage that came from this place, the flats or grasslands, the sage or water diviner, necessarily a doctor, necessarily a scientist by the name of Abo or Uitoro. And Abo was a sage whose words we actually receive not through the orality that we usually receive in our part of the world, but actually through handwriting document by a person by the name of Lucy Lloyd, who in the 1870s was this linguist and folklorist who applied to the colonial government to have certain people that were imprisoned in the Breakwater prison in Cape Town to be released into her house and under house arrest. Those people were imprisoned for stock theft, which at that time necessarily just meant being a normal person doing normal things in an abnormal context of the encroaching colonial system. And so Tabo gave her a lot of discourses over a long period, and she recorded them verbatim in the Kham language. And one of the important words is this word, with this character representing the dental click consonant. Even in IPA, that's how it descends from the phonetic alphabet. It comes from these scholars. And in this form, the verb form, to feel internal sensation. In fact, I would say to interocept is probably a good translation. And this is a rhythmic practice as well, because you can see in the reduplication of the noun, something that is having a rhythm to it, tapping or a beating inside, an interoception, an interoceptive rhythm. But Lucy Lloyd explains this thing in quite an interesting way because, you know, she's just a mere linguist. And here she's faced, in fact, with a great sage who, in fact, is a very powerful philosopher of our times. And she, as a linguist, must now try and interpret some complex and deep philosophy. And now she's doing her best and putting a caveat with a little question mark to say, I don't know, but maybe, because there's certain thing in here about pre-sentiments. There's a feeling inside of something that is in the now, that is an affect that one experiences internally, but that essentially suggests that something is going to come. Something is coming, you know. For example, springbok, antelope, they are coming. And Tabo said, way is the springbok. but the direct translation is quite good. Have while we, the Springboks, feed Russell. We, the Springbok, are inside. They are not a representation of the Springbok inside. They are inside. So another one would be the ostrich louse. Now, when you feel that there's a louse on the neck, like always is on the neck of the ostrich, you say, am ita. So this ostrich is felt, the effect of the ostrich is felt in the body. That is the ostrich. It is me, it is the ostrich. So this, of course, is given at length by Tabo, which is recorded verbatim in the Tam language here. And Lucy Lloyd gives her own translations of it. And then she gives a nice little summary here in these pages. There's about 9,000 pages of these documents. So this is she says, this is about a curious idea which our people, which she calls the Bushmen, have, that they feel in their bodies that certain things are going to happen. There is a kind of knocking, then she crosses it, beating in their flesh, which tells them things, right? So Tabo actually goes on to expand on this, what I believe is a theory of sign. It's an ontology of sign that comes from this Kham intellectual culture, of which he's a great proponent as a sage. And I believe that that we can distill a theory of sign from this, in fact, which is on par with theories of sign from other parts of the world, like an Aristotelian or Saussurean theory of sign, for example, right? And I would like to use this theoretical framework to apply it to the interoception of a Southern African writing system, which is the Ditima-Tsadi-Nuku writing system from Southern Africa. And this is how you probably are familiar with it. I'm also wearing it today everywhere, you know. And it has this two different forms that you can take. We often use this as like a heading case, where there's the tessellated nonlinear form, isibheke sohlamvu, and here the linear isibheke sohlamvu, nitima tsadinuko, nitima tsadinuko. So we have this potential for this writing system. And of course, it's part of the greater field of African indigenous writing systems. And we hope that the likes of Barbaro and Orin are going to help us to make a conference for writing systems of the African continent. And I will focus today on the extreme south, Ditima Tsadinuko. And Ditima Tsadinuko also, because it's geometric forms, color symbolism is very prominent and very well known in different traditions, having a layer of meaning that is added through color. And that's quite famous in the Umgwalo isiNdebele. Umgwalo, by the way, literally means writing. And it is this mural art tradition, which is the very famous celebrity of it is Esther Mahlangu, who has become in her 90s now, but very, very famous as Umgwali. Yabo. And so this tradition also has an antecedent in Sesotho mural art, Ditima Tsabasotho. These are called Ditima. Ditima. Tima comes from the word lema, which means to cultivate. It's the noun form of timo, which means the cultivate. It's those things, those the furrows, these kind of things. There was a lot of talk about that in the other day. And this is well studied in mathematics because this uses an algorithmic principle of a rotational symmetry to derive these motifs that are symbolic. There's a rotational symmetry. It's well studied in mathematics. And also this has a relation to the color and geometric symbolism, which is an ideographic tradition in Southern Africa, which is about beadwork. And beadwork is used also in compound ideograms to create sophisticated, explanations of meaning. So this is the queen mother of the Zulu kingdom, which is in the role of the mother of the king, who happens to be, in fact, younger than the king. So the mother of the king is younger than the king because she's the subsequent wife of the late father, and the mother passed away. So now this information is contained in the beadwork. All that information is contained in the beadwork. So as I said, rotation is quite important in the structure of the writing system because rotating the triangle, which is called ibheke, changes the quality of the vowel. So that's the system works with the principle of rotation. And the system works also in a syllabic way, with the nucleus of the syllable being the vowel in most cases. And it's a CV phonology, like Japanese, for example. It's consonant vowel phonology. There are no coda in the syllables. So you usually will start with the vowel, and then you will add the ongwaq, which is the consonant graphemes, right? So you have the base unit a in this case. And then you will add the ongwaq, the consonant, which is in this case, so it produces sa. And the thing is, it actually identifies phonological features as well, because the position in the grapheme, in fact, is towards the position of articulation, the place of articulation. And the shape indicates the manner of articulation. So a curved shape will be a fricative sound, in this case. And another phonological feature that can be added is this a common feature in all Ntu languages, so-called Bantu languages. We don't like that word. We say Ntu languages, which is prenasalization. So then it becomes nza, nza, nza. And then they have the voicing line, which we call upimbo. So if we understand this as representing the lips, and this is representing the back, then the voice comes through like that. You see, so with these small principles, you can create a diversity of syllables. So here we have e, I, a, u, o, se, si, sa, so, se, si, sa, so, zin, zin, zan, zo. So this is the Diti writing system as we understand it. But the consonants chart here is for all the languages of the region in Guthrie Zone S, which is Southeast Africa, including Botswana, Zimbabwe, Eswatini, Lesotho, the region of there which have a lot of, they are very, very closely related. In fact, they are the same thing. And these are all the consonants for the whole region, right? But also the thing, this is kind of reminiscent of like Hangul, for example, because this is iconic of the actual articulatory apparatus in the sign itself. And for this reason, our colleague Iris Oda has actually related it to interoception and saying it's a form of interoreading in a very literal sense, because it's internal to the mouth, it's your body internal organs that now you are actually having to feel and perceive in terms of the writing. You're actually having to connect yourself physically to the writing. The writing is not abstract in the mind. Even the vowels, when we say ah, the chin goes down, the tongue goes down, and therefore the triangle is soga, points downwards. Okay, so I'm going to now make this framework, the cosmological framework, the theory of sign, to apply it to the interoception of Ditima. Because not only we must understand how Ditima works as a system, we have to try to feel it, because otherwise, how do we know it's real? You see, so there's a dichotomy that exists between the research now. Are we doing objective research? Are we doing some quantitative data? Are we doing some qualitative data? And what's the subjective, the relationship between the subjective and the objective? But this always begs a question, because in this question, it's like, okay, we're going to be objective. That means we must now agree what's the objective reality outside us. We have a conversation. We're talking about a third thing, this person, that thing, and now we must agree. But wait a minute. Because there's something missing there that is the original, which is the interaction. It's the you. It's the origin. I need you to be able to have a conversation about the thing. I need you to look at me so that I exist. If I don't have you, I don't have a thing. I don't have a conversation. This is sort of like a specter. It's not very clear here. It's got washed out, but this is the second person. You can identify it in person deixis, right? So the subjective is the first person. The objective is the third person. What about the second person? So we were going to suggest the second person is that horror, that blackness, darkness, that infinite possibility, the grund, in Meister Eckhart discourses. So we're going to talk about that origin, and I want to interocept using the grund of the you, the personal you, the toi, what Fanon says, il faut édifier le monde du toi, de toi. C'est pas vous, c'est pas moi, c'est pas lui, c'est toi. And there's an interesting question about this ontology. right? Because we're talking about a relational ontology. Because what is real is this very loaded question, because I saw someone writing online, they had submitted to a famous Facebook page that we have a writing system for Amaxhosa, Xhosa language, and this thing is an ancient system, whatever. Then people were saying, is it real? Then I'm like, well, the person made it, it's real, you know? And there's another question of like, uh, what is real in this context? Which is a genuine question to you. Which of these two pictures of Gabo is real? Is the one of the portrait by the artist, the painter, the real Gabo? Or is the photo like a mugshot? Maybe it's even a mugshot. The real Gabo. Which one is real? It's a genuine question. It's not a rhetorical question or a trick question. It's a general question. What is real? Which one is real between Lucy Lloyd and Lucy Lloyd? The one with her hand, the one with the typewriter, the one where she looks very stern, the one where she looks less stern but quite stern. It doesn't look the same. To me, I don't know if it's the same. Sometimes you go to a funeral, they show a picture of the person and say, this is such a great image of the person. You think to yourself, no, wait, that's not the person. That person was not like that. And so which is real? It's a difficult question to either. Even if I look at this image and I do this, that's how I see, right? But this is now a technology is the tool. So now this is me, my body real. Is this real? Is this the real thing? Or is this the real thing? Which one is the real thing? This is relational. I have to relate to this person. This is a person. The person relate to me, I relate to this person. You see? And this is tricky. It's tricky. You need a framework for interpreting being. Being needs a framework. You need an axiom or you need something. So the good thing is that we always say, okay, show your methodology, show your working, show your references. You must show the context. We were doing slides. I'm using PowerPoint. Do you understand? I must show like it's more real, maybe it's more authentic now. I show this, or maybe I must show my entire, or maybe I must just show my entire, or maybe I must show what's happening here. Is that more real now if I tell you the truth of that? Or which one is real between these inscriptions of the name of Gabo? One with the modern orthography that I've written on a computer tablet with an XABO. This one that the artist created a stencil. This one is Gabo, which is indigenous, authentic, original from our culture. Or this one, the linguist who has decided to create a novel system of writing these things and written it by hand, literally the marks of the hand. Which one is real between these things? It's a genuine question. So Gabo gives us a model which I look at an Aristotelian model, which is long before a Saussurian model, and it's actually quite more explanatory than a Saussurian model. Because what does he say? He says that the sign is a sound and the idea together, right? And then it's connected to the thing by katasyntheke, which is just convention, arbitrariness of sign of Saussure, right? And then you have the thing, and the idea and the thing are connected in the sense, in the Western mind, that the thing and the idea is just a likeness. It's just a likeness. It's a double. It's got two. You've got two things. This is a duality that's created here. Whereas Tabo is saying something different about sign. And this is what he says. He says, hing akan, hing tarakan, hing easy tarakan, he eng, hing ohi, uiten utwakan kwe, au hantati, ha eng tarakan. Tabo akan. The idea deceives. The dream deceives. Teru. Amman. Adulto. The intero sign is what speaks the truth. That is how we perceive flesh. That moves inside us. So if we distill this into a schematization, what we have here is the kwe, which is a symbol. And the symbols produce the kum, which is the discourses, narratives, stories that float from the air, as it speaks about it. But there's three possibilities in the kwe that Tabo identifies. There's the kwe that is just a symbol, that is just a thing. It's just a mark. It's not interpretable. You don't interpret it as a thing. This is the chweng on the side of thing. Then there's the kabo, which is the dream, the idea, the concept, the system, right? And that it can also be a lie. You're just dreaming, it's a fantasy, you know what I mean? But it's the the intero sign that you need to read, that you need to intero read, that will tell you the imminence. The imminence is in the affect. This is what he's saying, which is it destroys that duality, right? So I would like to, how much time have I got? 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yes.
Thanks. So I would like to frame this in terms of a broader Kham cosmology, which is not necessarily found in Prabo, but in other Kham sources. Unfortunately, those sources were not recorded in the actual language. They were recorded in Afrikaans. So we have a gap. So that gap is what we talk about. That gap is the horror that we're going to live in now. And this is a nice cosmogram, right? So in the center of the cosmogram, we have the nothingness. We have the horror, which has two parents, which is darkness and night, and Taken. And Taken have three daughters, and the first daughter is the rock, which is Tao, which is the mountain, the tortoise. Tao is the rock. And the husband of the rock is the wind, is the air. And the hard ephemeral phenomenon and the hard physical phenomenon, the ephemeral phenomenon combine, and then there's the experiential phenomenon, the oral sensation of sound. This is the phenomenology in this cultural tradition. And then we've got the earth. How is the earth, right? All of these are people. They're conceived of as people. In fact, they're conceived of as which means the first seated people, the preeminent persons. And the preeminent person of now, the earth, has the husband who's the fire, and the light and the earth have the child, which is the perception of the visual. So we have the oral and the visual, right? And then the third one is Kwa, is the water. And Kwa is having the spouse of the Khoro, which is the rain beast, the rain. And the child of Kwa and Khoro is the snake, which is the canal, which is the water coming from the ground, which is the language between us, the social interaction. It is the phenomenology of socialization, of our social life. It's resources, it's gold, it's diamonds, it's those things, it's money. So this is the structure. So if we now combine the theory of sign in the broader cosmogenic framework of the Kham model, we come up with this, right? So we have the visual side on this. We've got the physical of the eye, we've got the ephemeral of the light, and then we've got the two sides of that, optic and ophthalmic. And then which cannot be reducible. The experience cannot be reducible. What is it like to be a bat? It cannot be reducible to the physical circumstances, but nevertheless it is produced by them. It's the child of them in the cosmology. Likewise, we have the sound in the ear, the cave, the rock of the ear, the sound, the air that's coming in and touching something in there, and we experience sound. And then in the middle we have the water. And we have the water's edge, or the Kalunga in the Dikengala Giacomo. The water's edge that divides, this duality. But it is in this affect that there is the immanence. So I would like to suggest that this is the horror. This is the blackness, the darkness. This is Fanon, a stride between being and nothingness. In white skin, black mouse, white skin, whatever it's called in English. So I would like us to, maybe if you have a pen, to just take it down. Because in order to feel the horror, to be quiet and be able to interocept, sometimes it helps to produce the symbol yourself, to do the intero writing. Because the symbol that you're just recording memory, you maybe have an affect to it, but in creating the symbol yourself. So here's the process that Seshat went through. So Seshat was writing horror. Then Seshat said, no, what is horror in Italian? It's luogo. Okay, now we're going to combine. So Seshat said luogo and horror. And then Seshat make the symbol of the horror. You see, so now when I look at this, I look at the hieroglyph and I think of Nefer. You see, I think it's very similar. And Nefer is a beautiful symbol for me. It's beauty. but it's zero as well, the nothingness. I make the connection. I don't suggest that is the connection in the literature. I make the connection. I'm doing it. See? So here we have O, A, O, A. And you see, here we have here's the orthography and there's the phonetics. Okay, right? And then we have the Khora, which is this meeting point. And if you see, look at the fractal of it. You know, here's the meeting between the you. It is you, and when I look at you, I say you, and you look at me, you say you. It's a shared you. If I say I and you say I, we go that way. But if I say you, now it's a conversation. This is the relational ontology, which we call Ubuntu, the relational ontology of personhood. And in that middle point there is that Khora, you know, this nefer maybe, the zero, the potentiality of the escape into nothingness, into the unknown, into blackness, into the black, you know. So it's very related to what we would say is black existentialism. So I follow the work of Fanon, Orlando Patterson, Frank Wilderson, you know, these people that have quoted the of Afro-pessimism, because I like the ontological emphasis on that. So here we have this concept of, let's try to write now. Maybe you can, for this last minute, 5 minutes, oh, we've got 5 minutes. So maybe Seshat can just lead us to just write the code there, so that we can feel it in the body. The code there.
Right, well, that would mean,